my falls, my trials and tribulation, my heart, my balls. Somebody stop me, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right, the storm.
What's going on out there, everybody? This is Sammy Leggett here. Got my man Lucas. We're back. For better or for worse, we are back. Giving you guys a exclusive spoiler-filled review for Lovecraft Country. This is episode 8 called
Jig-A-Bobo.
It's Jig-A-Bobo.
Jig-A-Bobo. Everybody know when they see the title Jig-A-Bobo that they Jig-A-Boo. Everybody knew that.
I was saying it for the longest time, and then I looked at the title and I was like, "Oh wait, this isn't Jig-A-Boo. This is Jig-A-Bobo." Okay, but Bobo is significant of. So one of the things that I would let you guys know up front. I said this, in my non-spoiler review that we don't see the previews what happens next. We just watch the episodes as they are. I think some of you guys knew. I guess this was coming. One of our friends from Three Black Geeks kind of alluded that there was going to be some offensive position in this episode. I didn't understand, and then I was kind of like, wait, is this Emmett Till's story? Like, wait, are they really doing this?
Are they just attempting to trigger as many black people as humanly possible by shoehorning Emmett Till's story into Lovecraft Country? And boy, did they!
So again, this is going to be completely spoiler filled. We're not going to hold any kind of punches. We will give you the good, the bad, and the
ugly. Yes.
We didn't rehearse this. As a matter of fact, me and him have not had any kind of conversation about this at all. So you're going to get his complete unfiltered thoughts. You're going to get my complete unfiltered thoughts. But let's go ahead and just, start off from this. We're going to try to get through this as fast as possible. The very opening of it, started off very emotionally resonant because I was kind of like, whose funeral was it? What's going on? And I think what got me was when there was a black lady coming out of the funeral, it was hot. They could tell they were hot. She just threw up, and I was like, okay, somebody's body's been mutilated. Oh man, maybe something happened. And then they kind of like very quickly with exposition and with dialogue alluded that, man, this horrific thing has happened to this young man. And this was, Dee's best friend, and she's already lost so much. And I was like, who are they talking about? And then they showed the picture, and I was like, oh, heck no, bro. Like, what are y'all doing right now?
Boy, do they come on. Her best friend? Is that the angle that we need to go here? Her best friend. A character that you've never seen before, and you magically took that tragic event to make a story. 3 minutes into this show, the only thing I said to Sam as when I saw the beginning of this, I said, you know what? No. I said, this is already pissed me off just from the beginning of it. And it just is unnecessary. Along with something else that happens at the end of it that Sam warned me about, also unnecessary. Like, come on, man. Like, why? So now we need to just put historical events in it to make it more interesting. We couldn't just go bias of. Go ahead, man.
So I'm gonna say this. So because I know what Lucas is trying to say. We've been harping on for a long period of time is that this era, like this time period, as far as black people, is some of the most horrendous and horrific things that people don't even hear about. That people don't even, really express in cinema necessarily. And this show from the very first episode, when they chose to make this an anthological, season, they touch on stuff, but they don't really go for it. They don't really define the horrendousness and the trauma that black people really go through with all these different circumstances, even if it's positive or negative. Like Letty getting into a house in and of itself, right? That is big. You know what I'm saying? For a black woman, regardless of how light-skinned she is, to be there, she was gonna get met with all these adverse things. And yes, they kind of touch on it here and there, but they don't really go for it because they're always consistently going on this science fiction story. And it's like, if you're gonna go down this road, specifically with something like Emmett Till, you had to do the groundwork. From the very first episode, we should have already gotten a message that Emmett Till is Dee's best friend. When we went to the party and like, they're, doing that, seance or whatever. Yeah. Emmett Till should have been a character there, like saying to her, no, it's okay. Like, let's just leave. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. Like, and the problem that I had with even the biggest part of the D situation is that none of these ninjas really cared about her. Not her mom, who left. Letty just freaking like left her when she went irate, like she was going off. She was sounding crazy.
Dude, she was choking, and she said, "Just go get
some water." What? Look, I'm gonna say this as a black man. If you know what I'm saying, like I was D and I went to one of my cousins or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and I went down the street like, yo, I seen this, like I don't know what's going on. They would be like, yo, let's go in the house real quick. Like, what's up? Like, do we need to get like family members real quick? Like, do we need to pray for you? Like, what's really going on? Like, they don't do any of that. And it's so unrealistic because one of the biggest things, especially during that time, is you gotta watch out for your own. You gotta watch out for, the youth because they are the future. That's it. Like the only reason why we're even sustaining this and trying to work towards this is to preserve, the wellness emotionally, mentally, and psychologically for this. And even the funeral, bro, like from a historic standpoint, the reason why they even decided to have the funeral and have Emmett Till looking as the way he did, is because the mother chose like, no, I want everybody to see what they did to my child, bro. Like, and they didn't even talk about any of that. Like, that wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, I was kind of just like,
it comes
across.
I'm
getting emotional. I'm sorry.
It comes across as disrespectful to even shoehorn Emmett Till into this story. That's all it is. It's disrespectful. I don't care, and I'm trying my best not to use the words that I would like to use right now. But understand, I don't care what excuse you come up with. There is not one. I don't care who comments on it. You can't come up with an excuse to shoehorn Emmett Till into this story. It was unnecessary, completely unnecessary. And you did it just for attention. Are you serious? Are you serious? The ramifications of what happened to Emmett Till and how that should be explored should not be just shoehorned into a show as a subplot. And that's what they did here. And that, nah, man, I don't know what the hell they're thinking with this. I don't know why they decided to go down this route. You could have picked just a random boy and merit the situation if that was what you needed, because clearly he's still not important to you because you breezed through it in 3 minutes. Yeah. 3 minutes you breezed through it. So he's not important to you. If he's not going to be important to you, you're not going to like really focus on it, except for giving us some bullshit at the end with a white woman going through some shit like that. Come on, man. Are you serious? It is unfathomable that a show created supposedly by black people for black people would do something of this nature. What's next? Are we going to take Martin Luther King's death and put it on screen as a subplot for Tick in somehow, some way? Because that's what it feels like here. It's just as disrespectful. Like it. But let's get into the actual episode, because clearly the Emmett Till stuff has nothing to do with this episode. That shit was just shoehorned in there just to give a subplot to deepness to an episode that didn't need it.
They used it as a catalyst to maneuver the story. Like from the moment there was a shot of the church, and they kind of panned out all these black people surrounding this church, and that is, all the main characters just start to go their own direction, supposedly looking for D. And that is where the episode goes from there. Everybody has their own subplot. Everybody's going and doing their own thing. we find out that Atticus, went to the future, and they use a whole lot of exposition to show that he finds a book. That book actually was his son's, like George Freeman. Letty goes back to the house, and she sees what is her name? Is it Joan? Jean? I forget her name. Jen. I think it's something like that. I forget her name. But Atticus's original love, goes to try to meet her, and then they have their one connection and conversation. And then you got Montrose, who's really the only person, honestly, trying to be there for D.
Clearly, he's the only person that cares.
And like, he meets up with her, but then D is just so heartbroken, and they try, I guess, to identify, why she's so upset. And I think the actress does a great job. I think her acting is good. It's the most they've given her. It's just weird because they didn't use her. The whole entire season, they chose the last episode to go and shoehorn as much as they could with the mom. And this episode, this is her episode. And we'll just go off of her arc. She goes down the street, sees some little girl sitting there laughing like everything's okay, like nothing happened to her, Emmett Till. And she's like, no, that's not okay, bro. And then she kind of just zones out. And I was like, to be fair, her dad died. Nobody really consoled her or helped her or talked to her. Her mom went missing and nobody's talking to her. And now her best friend is dead. Like, you know what? She might need psychological help. Like, she needs nurturing. She needs parenting. And obviously nobody there, gives a darn, to be honest. And so
they don't care. They don't care one bit. So
she goes down the street and she goes and the police pull up. Now, I think she made a mistake personally. If I was her during that era and the police all of a sudden just pulled up on me, I wouldn't have gone down an alley. I would have been screaming. I put my hands up. I've been making,
Sam, we have so many issues. I love it that you dated this era. So it makes me now question everything else that's happening in this show between black people and white people. Like, are you crazy? So she just gonna go down this little thing with these white cops, and that wouldn't even make sense. Matter of fact, because it's based off of Emmett Till's funeral, what makes you think, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, a black kid? Because again, you dated it, so I have to bring it up. Neighborhoods back then, black kids knew everybody. That was part of us being segregated. We knew each other in the neighborhood. You ain't walking away from there without another adult grabbing you and being like, no, where you going? Where your mama? They would know every damn thing about you. So again, it plays into that this just didn't seem realistic that she should be able to walk away. One, that those other girls would be out there laughing because they would have been there with their parents also at his funeral, the way they depicted it. Like, none of that makes sense. But again, it was a catalyst just to get the story going.
Yeah, it made no sense. Because even the stores, it showed on the sign. One of the signs, one of the stores was like, we are closed for Emmett's funeral. So I was like, where these kids even go? Did they just go into one black shop that's decided we're open? Exactly. We're gonna give you ice cream. Like, nah. I
was about to be disrespectful myself by saying something, but I'm gonna hold that back. But
no, you're doing a good job.
It's basically like they said, blank this blank, we still open for business. Like, are you serious? Come on, man.
Yeah. Because the only shop that would be open would be a quote unquote Caucasian or non-black shop. Which they wouldn't give her ice cream. They wouldn't give these little black.
Here's the weird part. It really wouldn't exist. This is supposed to be the South Side. See, again, that's why it's supposed to be the South Side of Chicago. In that era, there were no white businesses on the South Side of Chicago.
Nope.
It was a black neighborhood. Yep. Like what?
So again, we're gonna do our best because I really ain't got a lot of time.
But I would love to get into the actual episode because
we tried.
It had some good moments before it did the Lovecraft stuff that makes no sense. And we'll get back to you nicely, you niggas nicely putting the name George Freeman, which is George's name, in the actual book, and then you trying to circumvent it, and now you're making excuses on why the book doesn't match the story by saying, yeah, this is from the future, and Dee's a boy named Horace, yes, because that's the real name in the book. Christina's a guy, yes, because that's actually what happens in the book. Like, what was the point?
So
just call it spade a spade.
I got a theory on that, and I'm gonna leave it till the close of this discussion. But anyway, so Dee gets ambushed by these black cops. Mm-hmm. I was thinking the worst. I was like, oh my gosh, she about to have that. The Joker's. It only takes one bad day, and I thought that this was Dee's one bad day. Now, to be fair, it kind of was, but I was sitting there thinking these men are gonna like assault her, like sexually harass her, abuse her. Instead, these are the cops that are doing voodoo magic, and they just do some magic on her, and they proceed to try to question her about where the mom is and where the comic book came from, and it seems like this is going off of an interesting story, but yes. I was like, this is still unrealistic because I just don't think that these cops would have just let her go, with just putting magic on her. Like, because either way, we're gonna continue. They put magic on her.
Not one N-word was said to her. Not one.
Anyway, we're gonna get through this, Lucas. We're gonna get through this. They put the magic on her. She's traumatized more than she was before, and it's evident that whatever they did to her, pictures or paintings are following along with her. I think it was the Tasty Wheat guy was kind of like his eyes followed her, and I was like,
been a wheat guy, and then we see the two. Oh wait, we get the two Jig-A-Bos because those were Jig-A-Bos for sure. We get the two Jig-A-Bos following her.
So she goes to Montrose. She goes to Montrose's house or her house? I can't remember. She goes back to her house. Yes. And like she's freaking out and she's cussing at Montrose. And like, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Another thing that doesn't happen.
Montrose was the most patient black man of the 50s because
he'd have kicked that and whooped her ass.
Be honest with you, like I was sitting there thinking, like, look, he understands what she's going through. He understands that he lied to her. He understands all of it. He probably gone through worse, knowing him and his circumstances. But I'd be daggone if he ain't take his belt out. He didn't do nothing, and I was kind of just like, he started raising his voice at it a little bit, but I was like, bruh, if that was any of my family members, I'd say anything like that. I might not would have made it out the next day, to be honest with you.
Sam, not in the 50s. You are not just freely cussing at any adult. It don't have to be your actual uncle, which he is. Doesn't have to be that. It had to any adult in that time period. You're not saying blank this and blank that, and they be cool with it and not whoop your ass. It's just not gonna happen. Again, it's one of those things where you're interjecting something that isn't realistic for that time period. But I don't know if this is one. But let's get to the great supernatural elements of this story.
Yeah.
When she starts finally letting the magic take over her, because that's all that happened here.
Yeah. And so anger came out. The book fell, and like Lucas said, the Jig-A-Bos came out, and now I'm gonna say this: when she ran off, put the baseball cap on and went to the train station. I don't know where she was going. They never really clearly defined where she thought she was gonna go. But she got to the train station. She looks down the corridor, and I was kind of like, "What the flip is that?" I low-key was a little freaked out. I think that was a good moment. That was some creepy mess. And this is the crazy thing. This is how I know she was freaked out. She saw this white gentleman, like this astute white gentleman. She's like, "Do you see that?" You know, like Elle had to take some boldness to sit there and ask somebody.
Again,
you know, clearly,
we're in the
either one push you in front of a train, let alone get you arrested.
We're in the 1950s, and you just freely talking to white people you don't know.
I'm gonna put that on. That she was just terrified for her life. That's what I'm gonna say.
All he said was no. They'd be like, "Nigger, why are you talking to me?" Like it'd have been so harsh the way he would have responded to her. But that moment was really cool. The creepiness, the setup of that moment was great. Like that was the best moment of this show.
Yeah, and even like the way that these things were moving around.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like it
got silly later on, but early in the episode, it really worked well.
I think when they had her cornered, in the room, like when they finally had her cornered, that was another moment. I was kind of like, their eyes started to kind of like light up a little bit, and I was like, yo, this is some creepy mess. Now, when she kind of had her, you know, empowerment moment, I would say, you know, she went to try to track down the police officers and figure out what was going on, and she found them, and she had audacity.
The boldness of this little Negro girl. That's all I thought of as I was watching it. The boldness of this little Negro girl.
She went in there. And I think, okay, so I'm gonna say for you guys that are consumers, y'all gonna be eating this up. Y'all gonna be like, yeah, you tell him, you spit in that dude's face. Yeah. I was like, bruh, she lucky. You're
gonna get into it like it's 2020 and not the 40s and the 50s, where they would have easily just hung her ass from anything they saw fit to, and to shut her up. Like,
bruh, they got a body in the closet. She even said, yo, it stinks in here because there's a body in there. And I was like, bruh. Anyway.
But again, if you just focus on the supernatural elements, once she is cursed by them, that part is really good. It is executed very well. I would have preferred an entire episode without Emmett Till at all of them randomly running into Diana, them cursing her because of the comic book, and basically an episode that completely focuses on her with no outside distractions could have been crazy dope here, because her going through that and having those hallucinations were great.
Yeah. And the sad thing about that for D is when she got cornered and she just was like, yo, man, I'm going for it, bro. I don't care. Like, they ain't gonna get me. And she just sitting there swinging and swinging. And the sad part about it, and I love it, is that the one person that actually really was trying to help her was the person that got her caught. Like Montrose, you know, he was like, yo, what are you swinging at? What's going on?
Can we also bring up is the one person that knows about magic and should have been questioning way more of what she sees and what's going on? Like, why of all people, why wouldn't it pop into his head that maybe it's more going on than just her losing her mind? That's what, and when he shows up and he gets there, I'm assuming that's what he's going to do. He's going to bring up like, okay, what's baby girl, what's going on? What's going on? And she like, don't you see him? See who? Like, he's going to help her out in that way, but instead, nope. Just going to let you get to you.
We're going to talk about I think the ugliest thing about this freaking show is that nobody talks, dog. Yeah. Nobody communicates about anything. You don't need a cell phone. You don't need a text message. You just need to open your mouth and say what it really is, dog. And to be honest with you, I mean, one of the things I liked about Montrose in this episode was his communication with Tick. I thought that was, you know, them on the street corner when the lights were coming out. I thought that was a really powerful scene because, you know, they were open and candid about questions that me and Lucas had last episode. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, when he kind of brought up like the things that really terrified him and the reasons why he didn't do that, I was like, okay, finally, somebody making sense about, you know, the reality of the world they're in, you know? And then kind of like even Tick kind of opened up to him about why he was doing what he was doing and, you know, what Montrose was willing to do to sacrifice himself to get, you know, protect his family and protect his grandchildren. And I thought that was a really powerful moment. And I felt like up until Montrose at the end just kind of just like, and again, all D had to say to Montrose, like, look, bruh, you know, these things are trying to kill me.
Trying to kill me.
That's all she had to say. And like, she could have, you know, if I was her, I would have dragged him, ran out, and like, you look, these things are trying to kill me. I don't know. Nobody else can see them. I'm terrified.
You should have did the same thing to Letty. Letty knows about magic and monsters.
Which, okay, so now to be fair, you know, when she tried to talk, she
did stop her voice. No.
Yeah.
I understand the part of the voice choking, but what's stopping me to running up to Letty and her noticing that I can't talk? And instead of Letty just saying, if you die, you die. I'm mad.
So it's just weird because like the one of them was behind Letty and the other one was behind her.
Yes.
So it's kind of like if she went towards Letty, she ran a risk of Letty slowing her down. And the whole entire episode, I feel like there's some other story that was kind of like this, a horror story, where what was it? What was that movie? I forget the name of it. It was like people were having sexually transmitted diseases, and like if you caught up with the person, it kind of felt like that a lot of the time for Dee's story. But anyway, so Letty. Letty, I feel like they just keep doing Journey a disservice, man. She's a great actress. I think that she has some. She has some in this series. She has some scene stealing moments. The moment when she was in the church actually was a really, I think, a very interesting out of pocket moment. And even like her listening to Atticus's ex-lover across the way, like I thought that was a really somber, specific moment. But they just keep having her do stuff that I'm just like, I don't get it, bro.
We literally had her tell Atticus and Letty that she's a succubus, and no one asked any questions after that. Like, she explained a little bit, but like no more detail than that. Just, you killed 100 men? Yes, I'm a succubus. What's your excuse? Basically talking about his time in the war, and it's war. What you mean? What is my excuse? It's a war. What did you think I was supposed to do?
So it's weird. So okay, so this is the thing. And I told Lucas this. I texted him. They keep finding ways of making Atticus seem like a freaking jerk. Straight up. Because to be fair, she came to you. She came all the way back from who knows where, what she had to go through to get there, to let you know, look, you're gonna die, bro. And I've been trying to tell you not to go home. You called me, right? Because that's the thing. He kind of failed to be like, what you doing here then? Why you call me, ninja? You called me. You didn't tell your girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, she obviously loves you. She ain't even supposed to be able to love, but she still loves you. And like, he's like, you ain't got no answers in. Why you here? You know? And I think that he did that to try to appease Letty, but that's disrespectful, dog. Like, that's no loyalty. Like, she came here for you, dog. And I was like,
I know eventually we'll go back, hopefully with the last closing episodes of this, to flesh out this character even more. But this character had a great episode. Then you introduce her in this episode and nothing. Like they
use her like trash, basically.
Yeah, they treat her like trash here. You blew a moment here with her after building off of that other episode with her in it. That again, while it didn't feel like a Lovecraft Country episode, and I hated that it had to be connected, it still was a pretty decent episode. And instead, we get her in this setting with Tick and Letty arguing back and forth. Letty unfortunately responding like the typical black woman, like, I can't believe you had somebody before me. Really? Like, that's where we're going with this? Because she's in love with him and she was his first love, and now you're upset because he didn't tell you he fell in love at the war. You two haven't even fully established what type of relationship you have. Bruh, where would these conversations need to be had?
Bruh, she ain't even told this man that she's pregnant. He had to find out from the future.
Exactly.
So obviously y'all got some trust issues.
dare you have the unmitigated gall to actually come at me that way when you ain't told me yet that you pregnant?
Yeah, and to be fair, it's weird. It's so weird. The scene where they were going back and forth, where they were arguing, and he was kind of like saying, like, look, I'm trying to protect our future. At first, we had no idea that he knew, you know, and later on, we find out with conversation with Montrose, everything that he knows. And it meant so much more. That's the reason why I told Lucas, I was like, I need to rewatch this again because I missed that open line of dialogue. Because I was like, yo, like this, he really means this. Like he's doing everything he can to try to protect her. And she's also doing the same exact thing. They just not talking. Yep. They're not communicating, and they're doing things and they're making it worse, bro. And that's not what black people do, bro. I promise you.
Especially in that time period. Yeah, especially in that time period. Not in that time period where all of them are going through these horrific things. So you think it will lead to way more conversations, because if I see monsters and you see monsters, guess what? Every time something odd happens, we need to have a conversation about it. Like, hey, look, this happened. Hey, I got transported to the future. This is what I found out.
Look, I'm gonna tell you this. This is the straight up truth. Y'all can believe it if y'all don't. From the first episode, when I got back home, everybody would know. Everybody would be talking like, yo, I don't know if it's true or not, but yo, Tick just said it. This, that, the other. Yo, this, that, the other, Uncle George. Like, everybody would know. At least all the black people would know. And because that way you can protect yourself. At least you can be, the worst thing that has happened, you know, is if you're in a situation you have no idea what's coming. And you can't afford to live in that kind of era and not know. That's the reason why people communicate. So anyway, when Tick went up to the girl and was like, you know, what we had wasn't real. Like, you just this, that, other. I was like, are you really being a ninja right now? Like, I want to say something else, but like, you really, like, you being like this stereotypical like ninja, like you lying. Either you lying to yourself or you just lying just for the heck of it. And like, that's disrespect. Straight up. Like, she could have killed you, dog. And she probably could kill you right now, but like you being just mad disrespectful, and I don't know. It was just unnecessary to me.
It's just another Lovecraft moment that just makes you question exactly what this show wants to get out of you. I'm no longer questioning where you're going towards, because I can clearly see that at this point. But I'm just questioning what was your purpose now. Now you have to give us a purpose. What was the purpose of this show? And I don't think they figured that out yet, but we still have not talked about.
I'll say that. I'll say the best for last, bro.
Episode, man.
I say the best for last because again, I want to harp on that. I feel like they want to push, you know, Atticus and Letty to be this dynamic couple, but they sacrifice so many things, like this specific other character, that, you know, lends a lot of things to Tick's development as a character. Makes me empathize, makes me understand. They just like, yo, we're gonna sacrifice this. No, there cannot be any thought in any way, shape, or form that he would question going back with that person. You know what I'm saying? Like,
now the only question I have is, now that Letty has the mark of Cain, which shout out to Supernatural. Now that Letty has the mark of Cain, and she's now invincible. I believe it's 2-3 episodes ago we learned that Tick had the mark of Cain. Remember when he went to his aunt's house?
On his back.
Was that the mark of Cain on his back? I can't fully remember. I blacked a lot of this out. But
it was either the family crest that Christina has and that her dad had, or it was that. I don't know. Because the thing is, like, have we seen Atticus actually physically hurt?
In the war?
Physically? No, I mean, like,
since the war? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't. But now that we know Letty is bulletproof, I mean, like, where does that take us? That she's bulletproof now?
So I think that up until the point that the kid is gone, I think that's going to either one transfer or it's going to go away. And there was a reason. There was a reason why Christina did that.
So this really is an episode of Supernatural or Charmed.
Yeah. They there's a reason why Christina did that. Like, again, that scene in the church, I thought it was really powerful one up until, and she even prayed it. She was like, you know, God, like, protect us from this temptation of this magic and, you know, this stuff. And yet in the church, she openly takes a mark, knowing full well what is at stake. Like, I was like, you gonna sit there and let the enemy creep up in the church?
But you ask for God. You ask God to protect you from magic. Meanwhile, on your way to the church, you just left that little girl out there like with no issue. Like,
bro.
Oh man, like it again.
I don't know. Again,
just Lovecraft being Lovecraft. That's all I'm gonna say at this point. Lovecraft being Lovecraft. I am not looking for it to make sense anymore. I'm not looking for it to be logical. I'm looking to be offended from time to time by the show because they think this is what Black folks need. And that's what leads us to the last part of the episode that we have not discussed yet.
So it's two different parts that we got to talk about. It's two different parts we got to talk about. I think we can talk about the end sequence first, and then we need to talk about Ruby because we haven't mentioned anything that happened with Ruby.
It's a reason why, but yeah.
And we'll get there. We'll get there. I promise. That'll be the last thing we talk about, so that we can talk about something. So when Letty goes, back home, she's consulting with Ruby, and like the police show up, and like it's the same police officer, and I don't even know why he was there other than to make a point. No.
Remember, he tried to get Diana to go get something from the house for him. When she refused him, then he decided,
was like, "Forget this.
We're just gonna go get what is ours."
Yeah.
Not understanding that the house had already been protected.
Yeah. And so they found out that there's some other stuff going on, and then they just openly shoot up the house, just straight up shoot that joint up. Now, granted, they could have been done this. They could have done this a long time ago, but they just need to do it tonight.
What is it like? Wouldn't I have just destroyed where the protection spell was at?
I mean, I would have burned the house down. I wouldn't even have shot, to be honest with you. But whatever.
What's shooting gonna do? Like, that's why I'm super confused.
But anyway, they shoot the house up, and we find out that literally she is bulletproof. And around the same time, Atticus is kind of walking down the street aimlessly trying to see what's going on for some reason or another. And he sees the house get shot up. And like, he doesn't run for the house. He does the smart thing and just stops. I probably would have ducked her behind something, but one cop sees him. He's like, "Get your hands up," and Letty sees what's going on.
I'm going to need y'all to use the word next time. I know Sam doesn't like using the word.
This show is not trying to go to. This show
Put your hands up, nigger. Like literally, it literally is there.
This show is not trying to do that.
For the time period that we're in, for the time period that it's supposed to be in, that should have been a natural reaction by the cop.
I think that the writers are saying that we as Black people don't want to hear that verbiage utilized, even though it is defined in our actual history. It is something that happened. But I think that they're like, well, we don't want to tell our story that way. And I respect them. That's their opinion.
We as Black people also don't want you to use the story of Emmett Till as a subplot in your damn television show. Like, but if you're going to use this time period, certain ugly truths come with the time period. The word hurts. A whole generation of people are hurt by that word. That's fine. But you're putting the show in a time period where this is unfortunately the way people reacted. Yeah, so it comes across as like not authentic when I don't hear it. When I know in my head that's exactly what would have been said to Atticus as he approached that house. But let's get to the part where he has monsters now.
So him and Montrose were trying to go and do this protection spell.
Yes.
And, we didn't know whether or not it worked or not. I kind of felt like it worked. I was kind of like, they were like, it's silent. I was like, okay. Like, do you think it happened? Like, I don't know. Maybe I guess it didn't work. Then they just kind of gave up. You know, I would have put that joint to the test. I've been like, yo, can you shoot my hand or something? Like something. Like
do something to me so I can know.
Because this like we're dealing with some stuff that we don't even need to be wrestling with. We need to understand if we messed up something. Anyway, so the cop fires the gun. We have this, you know, slow motion moment, and all of a sudden burrows out of the ground one of these creatures. And the creatures just lay to waste the entire police force in the most horrifically gory way possible. Definitely felt like a rehash of the first episode. I think that from a consumer standpoint, you guys are going to find this really entertaining and pretty intense. It was intense in the way that it was done and choreographed. I think the CGI was okay, but I think the practical effects was the thing that worked out for me. It was just, it's like it just came out of nowhere. So now he's protected by beasts. She's bulletproof. And no matter what, their child is coming into the world one way or another.
Somebody better be able to fly soon. That's like the trifecta. I need somebody to be able to fly. That's it. And I'm good. I'm good.
No. What's her name? Her policy can fly. She in the sky right now.
She damn sure can fly. Oh, shit. That's what I'm talking about. See, y'all hit the superhero trifecta. That's all you had to do.
Shoot, the little girl, she gonna end up becoming a little boy. That's my theory. I think, for real, I think by the end of this journey, Christina's gonna become a man. She's gonna get what she wants. Some kind of way, Dee's gonna end up becoming a boy. And I think Uncle George is definitely gonna come back because they done telegraphed it up the wazoo. I think that everything that was going on with the book, some kind of way history is gonna be changed, and it's gonna be exactly the way that the book. That's my theory. I think that's dumb. It could have just started from that, but I think that's what's going to happen. Now we're going to talk about the epicness of Ruby. Now, to be fair, I think that the actress that plays the role of Ruby, when she was at William or Christina's, gate, and she, I think that she was the only one actress/actor that emoted in the correct way to the situation of Emmett Till. She was the only one. Everybody else kind of glassed over. Even Dee didn't really emote over the ramifications of all of it. And Ruby explicitly brought up what I would imagine, a Black woman kind of going through the circumstance of witnessing what she did in terms of seeing the body, in terms of the volume of what's actually happening. When she was having that conversation with Christina, I thought that was almost profound. I thought it was an amazing, well-acted piece of dialogue. And just like everything else in this show, and we talked about great moments. I said Letty had a great moment in the church. I said Montrose and, they had a great moment. But every single time you have a great moment, you switch it up on me, because as soon as she said all that, Christina was like, no, I think they tried to get education on us. She's like, no, I think you were just a woman that wanted what she wanted. And you didn't care nothing about that,
I am woman, hear me roar. That's basically what she did there. Which the sad part is, that's probably closer to the truth of everything. Is that you just wanted what you wanted. And the whole thing, because I didn't want to be another Black woman having intercourse, and that's not what she said, but the word I'm using, intercourse with a white man. And the whole time I'm thinking, well, technically, you're a Black woman having intercourse with a white woman, because that's not a man, and it's not a man.
She absolutely knows. She knows.
Yeah,
she knows.
That's what throws me off. And then the scene in general, as Sam called it, the most gory sex scene he's ever seen. To me, it was just the CGI was pretty good for the scene.
The CGI and the practical effects, like the what's it called? Where you got like practical applied prosthetics, bruh. Like they should get an award. Lovecraft, you guys should get an award for every single moment that, Ruby transfers, because y'all are killing it with that. Like, honestly, whoever's doing the practical effects and the CGI for that should work on the next Wolfman for Ryan Gosling. Do it, because it's great CGI. It's great. manipulation, but I was just like, this is disgusting.
It again, it felt unnecessary. They could have had some very intelligent conversations without having him screw the white off of her. Because that's what it was. That's all it was to me. Like, I said, okay, so this is just gore to be gory and sex to be sexual. And yes, it's a deeper meaning to it, but it's only surface deep. It's a hotep meaning. And for you all that don't know what hotep means, please look it up, and then you'll understand what I mean by that was a hotep moment. That's all that was. Like, I could have gone completely without that and just dealt with their conversation, and it would have felt so much better.
And it's weird because it kind of was like it wasn't gonna happen, because it kind of like had a really slow. He was bathing her, like it was kind of like, the
moment he started bathing her, you knew then what was gonna happen.
I just didn't. I mean, it didn't seem like it was gonna go down that route. It seemed like she was just gonna break down. You know what I'm saying? Instead, she just was like, yeah. So that happened, and one of the big key parts of that conversation, she was like, I want you to feel guilty for your privilege. I want you to feel what I'm feeling. I want you to understand what this young man went through. And Christina and everything she said, she's like, I don't care about this. I don't feel anything. But then they go over the meadow and through the woods to show what I can only suspect, that Christina has a heart, that she wants to care. She wants to connect with Ruby on a deeper Black emotional level and understand what she's kind of going. Because they keep on throwing these jabs that Christina, is this innocent thing. Like they have her doing things that even are definitely evil. But from the very first episode, when she kind of like birthed this calf that became one of these creatures, and they were like, "Is this your first time?" I'm like, yeah, this is my first time. And they keep on saying that. And I'm just like, what are y'all trying to say about Christina? Like, what are y'all trying to gain with this? Because when the dudes kind of had her, and then they just start to pursuitly beat her and stuff like that, and then they shoot her and they wrap it around her neck and they put her. I'm gonna tell you guys this, and I said this in my review, my non-spoiler review. What Emmett Till went through was not that. It was far, far, far worse. And for them to even try to attempt to give her, I'm assuming they were going for, we're gonna give her a smidge of what he went through to make her feel something. Well, but
they did to her what Ruby described happened to him without really, like, come on. I don't know what woke white person wrote this scene and thought that this was the way to attack this scene. It just comes across as insensitive, because it almost says, if I can depict certain things that happen to certain Black people, and if I experience it, maybe I'll become more sympathetic to their issues. So in other words, here you use Emmett Till. Let's use something else happens to another Black person, and then I put you through it. You should become something. No, that's not the way that works. And again, it just felt so unnecessary and offensive.
Yeah, they tried to do what I think I said in my review. They did a time to kill situation.
Yes.
They tried to give the Matthew McConaughey, when he described everything, and he's like, now imagine this as a white woman or a white child. And, that, laid a foundation that made it this story for that specific situation. It worked. But this was not. They would have to have gone through very strong lengths of foundations to even try to make that work. And there's nothing about Christina's prowess or demeanor that makes me feel empathetic or understanding to what she's trying to accomplish through this. Nope. It's like, it's not only that you did this that ran the risk of me being offended, but there's never been a moment that I felt like I cared about Christina enough to understand that she cares. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, because when she started, go ahead.
Not only that, but part of the fear of what happened, or what she's supposed to be displaying happened to Emmett Till, had to do with being a Black kid and white people doing this to you. You're white. You're a white woman. Why would I think you would get that? In general, you're white. I'm not expecting you to get it. And I don't need you to go through that just to feel what I'm feeling in that moment. That's disrespectful.
Yeah.
It comes to, and this whole episode. I don't know if it was written by Misha also, but this whole episode was directed by her. And you should know better. Like, you got 2 or 3 things in here that never need to be put on screen. This last one was just horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah. I kind of was just like I think I tried to understand why, but I couldn't connect with it. There's nothing of it that made any sense for me to connect to. Because she just laid a foundation and told Ruby she didn't care. If she had said something along the lines of like, look, I don't know what you're going through. I don't have the understanding to care. I'm sorry, or something like that. Like, but that's not what she said. That's not her character in any way, shape, or form.
She laid the groundwork for someone in 2020. When Christina said, "I don't care, and I don't believe we should go through civil unrest just because of something," like, I understood you're trying to be deep and you're trying to correlate what happens back then to happening now. I get all of that, and it's still extremely offensive.
Yeah, it just was,
and disrespectful to the time period.
I think it's just to the time period. And even like, I'm gonna try to paint another picture for you. Say Christina decided to take a black potion, made herself a complete black male, and just like decided to go out into town, pay these dudes off to go and find this black dude and just beat him and drag him along and do all these different kind of things. And she experienced that. It still wouldn't have worked because they didn't have any foundation to make it work for this character or understanding for this episode, because this episode had no foundation to be connected to Emmett at all. And that's the big fundamental problem. Now I'm gonna say this. I say this to Lucas. This is better than the last few episodes, or at least the last episode. This was probably more so along the lines of like the 5th episode, which I did like. But there are still foundational issues with the show. And again, it sounds like we're ragging on the show, but to be fair, again, I would equate this to being on the same level of like the 5th episode. But it should do more. This should be better. And we're not asking for better. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that straight up. We're really not asking for better. We're settling for what we're getting. And to be honest, there hasn't been a show like this. But Watchmen proved. Watchmen was not written. No, man. I'm gonna stop.
Exactly.
It wasn't. I'm gonna stop. I was gonna say something, but
it wasn't. But I mean, you know what? For Lovecraft Country, I wish they would embrace the American Horror Story setup that they're clearly doing here, and just fully embrace it, and don't feel the need to connect every episode. Let's just do a grand episode where you connect it at the end, and then you treat it that way, and then we go on to possibly another season with new characters. But you gotta embrace that type of storytelling, and they still haven't. They still feel the need to talk about the source material while disrespecting the source material. Fuck it at this point. I don't care about the book. You clearly don't care about the book. Let's move on from it and let's just make interesting stories. And the Diana part was really interesting, and I thought really well done. Really well done. And then you shoehorned a lot of other stuff that was unnecessary into the story. You damn near lost me completely with the Emmett Till stuff at the beginning of this episode. You lost me because that was
I thought he was about to check out, yo. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I was kind of like, I don't know if Lucas is gonna finish the episode to even do this discussion.
As a black man who grew up, who had to read about this constantly, not just from schools, but from having parents who pushed this on me for me to know, for me growing up, and at least 2 to 3 times a year having to watch Eye on the Prize, and part of Eye on the Prize was watching the Emmett Till funeral service. Like, my connection to that is too serious for me to ever be okay with a television show using his death using his funeral as a fucking subplot. That's not gonna be cool with me. But I still gave you a chance after that, and I still leaned into the Diana stuff as being the most interesting part of it. It really worked, and that's what makes me question Lovecraft Country, because you do things that really work, and then you shoehorn in other things that are unnecessary and completely miss the mark. And that's what this
episode
was. We hit a mark, and we hit it well, really, really well. And then we missed the mark in 3 other places.
Yeah, and then they consistently are unrealistic to the era. Yes. They're unrealistic to the circumstance of the era consistently. Yeah. And I feel like they're trying to either appease some groups of people, or they are just missing it. But I don't see, if I was writing this, there's no way that I wouldn't know this situation would be like, oh, well, this is going to happen. Oh, well, that could definitely happen, and not talk about it. It's got to be intentional. It's no way it's not intentional. They are intentionally choosing to not be realistic when it comes to certain things off the era. Like, they are making it so, what's the word, wishy-washy or just light? Like, this is like the 1950s light. That's the best way I can put it.
It's light. That's the best way to put it. It comes across as real light. It comes across, in all honesty, as we want to be truthful to the time period, but we don't want to offend people.
Yep.
And guess what? There's no way you can do that. It happened. Guess what? Yep. Everyone has to accept that it happened. So if you're going to put it in that time period, be 100% accurate with that time period and the depiction of people in that time period. It's fine. I think people would respect you more if you did it that way. But you keep on hinting towards stuff. You're hinting towards the racism of that time period with not like explicitly going into everything that encompasses that.
Yep. And that's all I got for it, man. It's a sad thing because
this I felt like that was our longest review.
It is, and I really got to use the bathroom. But to be honest, like I felt this was one of the things in this episode was one of the better things that I've seen in the past few episodes. Definitely. But they still keep messing up. Yeah. They still keep doing stuff that, makes me question, what am I doing? But
it'd have been awesome hopefully you guys that tick in the future episode.
You know what?
That'd have been an awesome episode to get. I'm hoping.
I don't even
hopefully
understand.
We still get it again.
I don't even understand because it was so quick. That was another part of Lion Dogs that I had to go back because he had said that, I guess the police or the white people were moving and on something. I'm assuming like some weird stuff was going on.
White people were rioting and everything else. He's really think about it. We're in that time period now where white people are rioting and all this other stuff.
But then he said somebody with a robot arm pushed him back through the whatchamacallit. And I'm assuming that is the same alien that Dagon Hippolyta is messing with. I don't know. Like, it just don't make no sense. But anyway, we are done. I hope you guys really appreciate our devotion to these because it takes a lot. Like, no cap, dog. Like, it takes a lot for us to go through. And I know you guys have strong feelings about how we feel about it. But we're trying to give you guys on this show, honest.
I would have gave up on this show 3 episodes ago. I had no intention of caring about this show.
He did.
And I don't care what anyone says about it. You can't change my mind. I could care less about this show at this point. At this point, I just want to see how you're going to wrap this up. Granted, in my head, I kind of know, but I want to see it. And I want to see just how Hotep this thing gets all the way to the end. That's all I want to see.
Yeah. But I do hope that I was gonna say Montrose. I hope that Tick's old love interest does not go away because I feel like she is gonna be essential to something. I don't really know why. It's not a specific feeling. It's more so it just doesn't make sense to platform her that way without it being a reason. And I loved her episode. I think that's the other thing that sucks. Like that was one of the best episodes of the season. So we're gone. Hope y'all enjoyed that. 60 minutes.
Peace.
Sam on the 60 minutes. I might as well wait till the 60-minute mark, then click end broadcast.
Hey.
You got other feelings?
No.
I have none. I gotta use the bathroom, dog. Like I've been holding that joint this whole time. We gone.